The galaxy was not a quiet place anymore. Fires of war burned from one star system to the next, and countless worlds had already fallen. A shadow moved through the void, a shadow so deadly that entire fleets had vanished without a trace. They called it the Vorath Swarm, a biomechanical force that consumed everything in its path. Planets, moons, and even stars seemed safe from nothing. In the Council of Elders, representatives from dozens of civilizations gathered. Tall, multi-limbed creatures argued with short, feathered ones. Their voices echoed in the great chamber aboard the council station, orbiting a dying gas giant. Panic was everywhere, but pride kept many from admitting it. "We cannot stop them alone," said Curran, a gray-skinned diplomat from Trelvar Prime. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying fear. "We have fought together, but the swarm adapts faster than we can respond. Our fleets are insufficient." "Insufficient," hissed a Kront, a jagged, armored species, their voices like grinding metal. "Entire planets fall before us. How do you propose we survive?" "Humans," Curran whispered, drawing startled glances. "Humans." The word itself was enough to make some council members uneasy. They had heard stories, sometimes exaggerated, sometimes true, about Earth's defenders. Humans were unpredictable, bold, and dangerously clever. They had survived wars on their planet that would have destroyed most species. They had built weapons of astonishing lethality and had a reputation for thriving in chaos. Some civilizations called them reckless, others called them heroes. "Humans?" croaked an elder from Zerath, a species with translucent skin showing pulsing veins of bioluminescence. "They are primitive. Why would they care about us?" "They care only about the challenge," Curran replied. "They care about the fight, and they care about survival. If anyone can face the swarm, it is them." A tense silence filled the chamber. Most delegates did not trust humanity. After all, humans had a habit of arriving suddenly, acting without warning, and leaving the galaxy changed forever in their wake. But desperation outweighed fear. By unanimous, if reluctant, consent, the Council drafted a call for aid. Messages were sent across hyperspace, addressed specifically to the United Nations of Earth. On the surface of Earth, in the orbit of a bright blue planet, the message arrived. A small team of scientists and military leaders watched as the alien communication appeared on their screens. It was formal, polite, and desperate. Captain Alina Drake leaned forward in her chair. She was tall, with hair tied tightly behind her head, and eyes that seemed to weigh every detail instantly. "You're telling me," she said slowly, "that some aliens, countless aliens, are being destroyed, and they want us to save them." "Yes," said Admiral Marcus Lee, standing behind her, arms crossed. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with excitement. "And they're begging us to intervene. They fear annihilation. We're talking fleets being wiped out, entire worlds, and they think we can stop it." Alina frowned. "Humans didn't survive everything on Earth by being careful, but a galaxy-wide threat," Marcus smiled. "Exactly, we don't play by their rules, we adapt, we survive, and we strike hard." The decision was made quickly. Humanity would respond, but in its own way. Not politely, not diplomatically, not with slow, careful strategies designed to impress alien councils. Humanity would respond efficiently, decisively, and lethally. Within days, shipyards across Earth and human colonies in nearby star systems roared to life. The Earth Defense Fleet assembled with unprecedented speed. Ships of every class, lightning-fast interceptors, massive dreadnoughts, stealth cruisers, and heavily armed carriers, prepared to leave. Every vessel carried weapons designed to overwhelm, strike, and destroy. Meanwhile, alien diplomats monitored every transmission. They expected humans to take months, years even, to prepare. What they saw instead stunned them. Entire fleets vanished from orbital shipyards in a matter of days, moving silently but purposefully into hyperspace. Humans did not hesitate. Humans did not negotiate. Humans acted. When the first human fleet emerged into alien-controlled space, they were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their ships moved in precise formations, yet not predictably. They scattered, regrouped, and attacked points the Voreth swarm had already thought safe. Alien observers hidden in distant star systems began to whisper among themselves. They are efficient. They are terrifying. They fight differently. The Voreth swarm itself had no name for humans yet. It sensed life as it sensed energy. Everything was fuel. Everything could be consumed. But these humans, they were different. They did not scatter when attacked. They did not flee. They adapted, they countered, and they struck in ways that the swarm could not anticipate. Captain Alina Drake watched the holographic map of the Voreth fleets. Red blips moved in patterns meant to trap them, meant to crush them. But the human fleet moved with a strange elegance, striking weak points, cutting supply lines, and disappearing before the swarm could react. "Commander," said Lieutenant Ravi Singh, pointing at the display, "we've intercepted their first wave. They're larger than anything we've fought before, tens of thousands of units, and their formations are organic yet coordinated, almost alive." Alina nodded. "And we are humans. Let's show them why we survive when others die." The first engagement came unexpectedly. A small alien world caught in the path of the Voreth sent a distress signal. Humans answered, not with a formal fleet parade, not with cautious diplomacy, but with blinding speed. Ships dropped out of hyperspace near the Voreth, and chaos erupted. The swarm had never encountered humans before. They expected retreat, hesitation, or surrender. They did not expect a calculated storm of destruction. Missiles and energy weapons tore through the swarm's outer units. Human drones swarmed in, boarding the biomechanical vessels, shutting them down from inside. Where the swarm adapted, humans adapted faster. Where the swarm overpowered, humans used cunning and strategy. Alien allies, watching from orbit, could not believe their eyes. "They are reckless," one elder cried. "They are suicidal." "No," Curran whispered, watching from her observation station. "They are human." The battle was brief, brutal, and decisive. The Voreth retreated, not defeated, but shaken. Humans did not pursue with vengeance. They paused, regrouped, and waited for the next move. Every ship was battered, every crew exhausted, but their morale was unbroken. For the first time, the Alien Council felt something they had never felt before: respect, awe, and a hint of fear. Humanity was no longer just another species. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, Captain Alina Drake looked at the reports. Systems destroyed, minimal. Civilians saved, mostly. Fleet status, excellent. "We've made our point," she said. "The galaxy knows we are coming, and the galaxy will remember." Admiral Marcus Lee smiled, watching the stars. "The galaxy called for help, and humanity answered, but this is only the beginning." From distant corners of the universe, eyes turned toward the humans. Some hoped for salvation. Some feared it. But all knew one thing: when humanity entered the fight, everything changed. And the deadliest fleet the galaxy had ever seen was only just beginning its journey. The Voreth swarm was unlike any enemy humanity had faced before. Not merely a fleet, not merely a species, its ships moved and thought as one. Each unit was part of a greater whole, shifting constantly, responding with terrifying speed. Entire star systems had fallen to it, and most civilizations had little hope. Yet humans had arrived. And for the first time, the galaxy realized that the swarm might not be invincible. Captain Alina Drake stood on the bridge of the flagship USS Vanguard, watching the display that projected the incoming Voreth formations. Red waves of enemy ships stretched across the screen like a living river of destruction. Their numbers were overwhelming. Tens of thousands of units converged on a small, civilian-populated system called Taravan IV. Lieutenant Ravi Singh tapped the holographic map. "They've detected our presence, Captain. The swarm is moving to intercept us. They're faster than expected. Alina nodded. Good, let them come. Let them see what humans can do. In the Council's observation stations, alien delegates held their breath. They had seen humans fight small battles and skirmishes, but this was different. Humanity was about to face the full might of the Vorath, and the galaxy could only watch. The battle began with a shattering pulse of energy. Vorath units surged forward, firing weapons designed to obliterate entire fleets. Human ships dodged and weaved with an agility that alien observers could not comprehend. Ships split into multiple smaller formations, striking weak points and reforming instantly. Captain, said Ravi, pointing at the Vorath, they're adapting to our tactics faster than we expected. Alina's gaze was steady. Then we adapt faster. She tapped her comm panel. All units, prepare Phase 2 protocols. Initiate rapid boarding sequences. Target command cores. Let's turn their own coordination against them. Phase 2 was something no other species had attempted against the Vorath. Human drones launched from every ship, slipping inside the enemy vessels. The drones were small, agile, and deadly. They bypassed the outer defenses and struck the biomechanical cores with precision explosives and hacking pulses. The Vorath did not understand. Their units hesitated for the first time, disrupting the swarm's rhythm. One by one, ships began to fall, collapsing into themselves as humans took control of their systems. On the ground, the inhabitants of Teravan IV could only stare at the sky. A storm of fire and metal rained above them, yet the humans moved with purpose, not mindless destruction. They evacuated civilians, targeted the swarm's weak points, and minimized collateral damage wherever possible. From orbit, alien observers were astonished. They are precise, said one Trelvar scientist. Even in chaos, they strike with intention. Yes, Curran whispered. And without hesitation. They do not pause to negotiate, they do not cower, they act. But the battle was far from over. The Vorath adapted to the humans' tactics, forming tighter clusters and reinforcing command units. Red waves of ships moved like a living wall toward the human fleet. On the vanguard, alarms blared. Multiple hull breaches, Ravi shouted. We've lost shields on the port side. Alina's jaw tightened. Deploy emergency countermeasures. Activate shadow nodes. Let's make them think we are weaker than we are. The shadow nodes were a human innovation, a fleet tactic that created illusions in space, splitting radar signals and making enemy sensors misread fleet positions. The Vorath, reliant on collective perception, could not comprehend the illusions. Human ships moved through the swarm, striking where there should have been nothing. As ships collapsed and Vorath units fell into confusion, humans boarded enemy vessels directly. Teams in powered exosuits, stronger, faster, and more resilient than any alien troops, fought in close quarters. They dismantled the swarm from inside, turning its own mechanisms against it. Alien allies observed silently. They had never seen a species willing to risk everything, every ship, every life for a tactical advantage. Humans were fearless and deadly. The tide of battle shifted. What had seemed like a hopeless situation became a human victory. Not total, not complete, but decisive. The Vorath retreated, falling back into deeper space. They had underestimated humans and they had paid for it. Back on the Vanguard, Captain Drake looked at the damaged ships in her fleet. Hulls were torn, engines sputtering, lives lost, but her crew cheered. They had done the impossible, they had bested the swarm. Ravi shook his head in disbelief. I don't understand. How did we survive? How did we even win? Alina smiled faintly. Because we are human. We do not follow rules they understand. We do not fight like them. And we never give up. Meanwhile, the galaxy was beginning to realize the truth. Humans were not just another species. They were a wild card, a force that could change battles that seemed impossible. Alien civilizations began sending their own fleets to assist, following human leadership. Even the Trelvar and Zerath, who had doubted humanity, now deferred to their tactics. "We cannot underestimate them," one Zerath commander said. "They do not fight like us. They think differently. They survive where we perish." "Yes," Curran agreed, "and if the swarm returns, we will need them more than ever." But victory came with a cost. Human losses were high. Ships that had been repaired quickly before now lay in drydock or drifted as wrecks. Crew members were weary, their hands blistered from hours of manual repairs and combat. Yet even in exhaustion, morale remained high. Humanity did not despair. Humanity adapted and prepared for the next wave. Captain Drake convened her officers. "The Vorath will return," she said firmly. "They always do, and next time they will be smarter, faster, deadlier, but so will we. Every battle teaches us something. Every loss sharpens our edge. We will be ready." Admiral Marcus Lee joined via comlink, his image flickering on the display. "They are learning," he said, "but so are we. Every encounter strengthens our strategy. Every engagement shows the galaxy that humans are unstoppable when they unite against a threat." Alina nodded. "Then we keep moving. We hit them where they least expect it. We fight on our terms, not theirs." Far beyond the battle zone, the Vorath shifted. They were not defeated, but their strategy had been challenged. Something about humans puzzled them. These beings did not act like prey, like predictable targets. They were different. They adapted. They learned. And worst of all for the swarm, they were fearless. The galaxy watched as the humans regrouped. Alien observers recorded every tactic, every maneuver, every innovation. They did not fully understand it, but they knew this. Humanity was unlike any species they had ever encountered. Humanity was not just a soldier in the galaxy's war. It was a storm that could change the course of the universe. Captain Drake stood alone on the Vanguard's observation deck, staring into the stars. The next wave would come. The swarm would not give up. Entire civilizations relied on her fleet. And yet there was no fear in her heart. There was only determination. The humans had shown the galaxy what they were capable of, but this was only the beginning. The Vorath would test them again, and when they did, humans would be ready, because humans did not fight like anyone else. They did not follow rules. They did not surrender. They adapted. They survived, and they struck when no one else could. The alien fleets whispered among themselves. "If humans fight for us, then perhaps there is hope. If humans fight for us, then maybe the galaxy is not lost." And somewhere far in the void, the Vorath considered humans. A new variable had entered their calculations, an unpredictable, uncontrollable variable, and it would not be easily erased. Humanity had survived the first true clash. And the galaxy began to understand a simple truth. When humans fight, even the impossible can fall. The galaxy had begun to take notice. Humans were no longer just soldiers or diplomats. They were a force that could change the outcome of wars with nothing more than sheer determination and clever tactics. The Vorath swarm, once considered unstoppable, now faced an enemy it could not predict. Captain Alina Drake stood on the bridge of the USS Vanguard, reviewing reports. The Vorath had withdrawn after the previous battle, but intelligence was clear. They were regrouping. Their next target was Lareth Prime, an important supply world for the Allied alien fleets. If Lareth fell, entire systems would be cut off from reinforcements and supplies. "Commander Singh," Alina said, pointing at the holographic map, "this is where we strike next. We cannot let them reach Lareth Prime." Ravi's eyes scanned the display. "They'll be ready for us." The Vorath are learning. Last time they almost adapted mid-battle to our tactics. If we repeat the same strategy, we might fail. Alina smiled faintly. "Then we don't repeat, we innovate." Humans survive by adapting, and this time we will not only defend Lareth, we will hit the Vorath where it hurts most. The fleet began its approach. Alien observers, once hesitant, now moved cautiously under human guidance. They had learned to trust human leadership, despite centuries of interstellar pride and ego. Fleets from Trelvar Prime, Zerath, and other systems followed, forming a joint allied force, but it was humans who led. On the vanguard, engineers worked feverishly. Humans were always preparing, always inventing. Improvised weapons, decoy drones, cloaked strike teams, everything was being readied for the battle ahead. Alina tapped her comm. All units, remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We fight for every species the Vorath would consume. Keep civilians safe, keep your wits sharp, and trust in human ingenuity. The Allied fleets watched as human ships split into seemingly chaotic formations. To outsiders it looked reckless, ships twisting, weaving, and scattering. But to humans, every move had a purpose. Every distraction, every feint, every sudden change of direction was designed to confuse, mislead, and destroy the enemy. As predicted, the Vorath came. Red waves of ships poured out from hyperspace, converging on Lareth Prime like a swarm of living fire. But the humans were ready. Deploy the decoy fleets, Alina ordered. Make them think they have the advantage. Massive holographic decoys unfolded across space, mimicking the movement and signatures of real ships. Vorath sensors, reliant on collective perception, focused on the decoys. Human strike teams, small and invisible, slipped past the front lines, heading straight for Vorath command nodes. Lieutenant Singh's voice was tense. Captain, our boarding drones have reached the Vorath cores. They're beginning internal disruption. Alina's eyes narrowed. Good. Keep pressure steady. Let's see them crumble from within. The first wave of boarding teams breached the biomechanical hulls of the Vorath units. Inside, it was a nightmare of organic machinery, wires that pulsed like veins, and control cores that reacted violently to intrusion. Human soldiers moved with precision, using compact tools, hacking devices, and explosives. Ships that were once coordinated parts of the swarm began malfunctioning. One by one, units turned against their own formations, creating chaos among the red waves. Alien allies watched in awe. They are fearless, a Trelvar commander whispered. They enter the heart of the enemy willingly. No other species would dare. Yes, Curran said quietly from the observation deck, and they do it efficiently. One human team can disrupt hundreds of Vorath units. They are terrifying. Above Lareth Prime, the main Vorath fleet pushed forward, unaware of the internal sabotage. They expected a straightforward battle. Instead, chaos erupted. Ships collided as commands contradicted each other. Energy beams struck ally and enemy alike. Humans moved like shadows, striking weak points, then disappearing before the swarm could respond. Captain, Singh reported, we've taken control of two main nodes. Entire formations are collapsing. Alina leaned over the display. Excellent. Prepare for Phase 3, surgical strike. Phase 3 was humanity at its most cunning. Using intelligence gathered from previous battles, human engineers designed a precise trap. Certain Vorath units were lured toward Lareth Prime's surface, where gravity wells and planetary defenses awaited. As the swarm approached, magnetic pulses and guided projectiles tore through their ranks. Ships fell in droves, swallowed by the planet's defenses. From orbit, alien observers could only stare. Never had they seen such coordinated brilliance. The humans had not only stopped the Vorath, they had turned their own aggression against them. But humans were not satisfied. The Vorath were clever, and remnants of their fleet still threatened Lareth Prime. Captain Drake knew that victory would only come if the enemy was truly broken. Prepare the vanguard for a direct strike, she said. We go to the Vorath heart. The vanguard, along with select human strike ships, entered a dangerous maneuver known as the Predator Loop. Ships dove into the center of the remaining swarm, weaving through enemy fire, exploiting every gap, and using speed and agility where brute force would fail. Boarding teams followed, infiltrating the core vessels, setting explosives, and hacking control systems. The Vorath reacted, slowly at first, then with growing aggression. But humans adapted instantly. When one path was blocked, another opened. When a unit countered, humans countered in turn. Their unpredictability became their greatest weapon. Hours passed like minutes. The Vorath fleet began to fracture. Command nodes were destroyed, core systems sabotaged, and coordination collapsed. Ships collided, energy weapons fired into open space, and the swarm turned on itself. Alien fleets observed in stunned silence. "It is unlike anything I have seen," said a Zerath admiral. "They fight like a single organism, yet each acts independently. They are everywhere at once." "Yes," Curran said, whispering to herself. "They are human." Finally, the Vorath retreated. Broken and scattered, they fled into uncharted space. Lareth Prime was saved, though not without cost. Human ships were damaged, crews exhausted, and lives lost. Yet morale remained unbroken. Humanity had struck a decisive blow, proving to the galaxy, and to themselves, that no enemy, no matter how overwhelming, could withstand their ingenuity. On the Vanguard, Captain Drake addressed her officers. "Today we showed the galaxy that humans fight differently. We adapt, we improvise, and we never quit. But remember this, the Vorath will return. Next time they will be smarter, faster, deadlier. We must be ready." Admiral Marcus Lee's image appeared on the display. "And we will be ready. Humans have changed the balance of power. You have not only defended a world, you have shown every species what hope looks like." Alina nodded. "Hope is not enough. Preparation, strategy, and courage, these are what win battles, and we have all three." Far in the depths of space, the Vorath considered humanity. Something about these beings confused them. Humans did not act like prey, like predictable targets. They were fearless. They were clever, and worst of all, they learned. A new calculation formed in the collective mind of the swarm. Humans were not just fighters, they were variables that could not be controlled. They were a threat to everything the Vorath had known. Back on Lareth Prime, humans helped stabilize cities, repair infrastructure, and aid refugees. To the alien civilizations, it was not just military brilliance that impressed them. It was humanity's compassion, efficiency, and sense of purpose. They saved lives while destroying the enemy, proving that humans were not merely lethal. They were decisive and intelligent in every sense. The Council's observers convened. "If humans continue like this," one elder said, "they may be the only species capable of challenging the Vorath." "Yes," Curran said, "and perhaps the galaxy is lucky they fight for us and not against us." Captain Drake looked at the stars once more. Battles would come again. The Vorath were not gone, only delayed. But one truth was clear. Humans were no longer just part of the galaxy. Humans had become a force that could not be ignored, a force that could not be predicted, and a force that could decide the outcome of entire wars. And humanity, as always, prepared for the next challenge with a steady hand, a clear mind, and a burning determination. The galaxy had witnessed human ingenuity at its peak. The Vorath had learned a terrifying lesson. When humans fight, even the impossible can fall. And when humans strike, they do so with precision, speed, and an unpredictability that no one, not even the deadliest force in the galaxy, could withstand. The galaxy held its breath. Word of humanity's victories against the Vorath had spread like wildfire. Entire civilizations watched from orbiting stations and hidden planets, waiting for the humans' next move. Rumors spread that the humans were unstoppable, a force that could not be predicted, and a force that refused to surrender. Captain Alina Drake stood on the bridge of the USS Vanguard, staring at the vast Vorath fleet approaching the Allied capital of Vera Prime. The planet was heavily populated, home to millions of civilians, and strategically vital for the war effort. If it fell, the Allied fleets would be cut off, and the galaxy might lose hope forever. Lieutenant Ravi Singh tapped the holographic display nervously. "Captain, the swarm is massive. Estimates suggest over 50,000 units, and they are moving faster than we expected. Our allied fleets are already engaged, but I don't know if it's enough. Alina's eyes hardened. It will be enough because we fight differently. We don't just react. We anticipate, we adapt, and we strike where no one expects. The allied fleets moved under human command. Alien admirals who had once scoffed at humanity's recklessness now followed every human order without question. Humans did not argue, humans acted, and history had proven that their actions worked. "Deploy the Phantom Squadron," Alina ordered. "We need every advantage we can get." The Phantom Squadron was humanity at its most cunning. Stealth ships, capable of cloaking almost entirely, weaved through Vorath lines undetected. They disrupted communications, sabotaged power cores, and created confusion from within. While the swarm expected frontal attacks, humans struck from the shadows, leaving destruction in their wake. Ravi's eyes widened as he monitored the feed. "Captain, they're falling apart. Entire formations are turning on each other." Alina smiled grimly. "Let's make sure they never recover." The humans had learned from previous battles. They knew the Vorath's strength lay in their coordination. Break it, and the swarm became vulnerable. Using decoy fleets, internal sabotage, and precise boarding actions, humans dismantled the enemy piece by piece. Ships that had once seemed invincible were now reduced to drifting wrecks. On the surface of Vera Prime, civilians watched in awe. Human ships moved with surgical precision. They did not merely fight, they orchestrated chaos. Entire enemy formations were destroyed before civilians even realized the danger had passed. Alien allies whispered among themselves. "No other species fights like this," a Trelvar admiral said. "Humans are not just soldiers, they are strategists, warriors, and engineers all at once." "Yes," Curran said quietly, tears forming in her eyes, "and they save lives while doing it." They are terrifying and magnificent. But the Vorath were not defeated yet. Fragments of their swarm began forming into a massive, centralized strike force aimed directly at Vera Prime. It was their final gamble: overwhelm humanity with sheer numbers, destroy the Allied fleets, and claim the planet. Captain Drake studied the display. "They think numbers will win," she muttered. "They don't understand humans." "Orders, Captain?" Ravi asked. Alina's voice was calm but deadly. "We finish this. Phase 4, the Crucible strike. All units listen carefully. Every ship, every drone, every boarding team move with precision. We do not scatter, we do not hesitate, we strike together, and we strike deadly." The Crucible strike was humanity at its peak. Fleets formed intricate patterns, baiting Vorath units into traps. Cloaked Phantom squadrons disrupted communications. Boarding teams infiltrated the swarm's core vessels, setting explosives and seizing control of enemy systems. Energy beams tore through the swarm, not in random chaos, but in carefully calculated volleys designed to collapse the Vorath from within. Ships collided as control systems failed. Units turned against each other, creating gaps and vulnerabilities. Humans moved like a storm through the enemy, unpredictable, unstoppable, and utterly lethal. Alien fleets watched in amazement and fear. "They are everywhere at once," a Zerath commander whispered. "No enemy can survive this." "Yes," Curran said, her voice trembling. "They do not fight like us. They fight like humans." As the battle raged, the Vorath attempted a desperate maneuver, converging on the planetary surface to destroy infrastructure and civilians. But humans anticipated it. Gravity wells, orbital bombardments, and well-timed decoys funneled the swarm into kill zones. Entire waves were destroyed before they could reach the planet. Ravi's voice was tense but excited. "Captain, the swarm is breaking apart. We're destroying them faster than they can adapt." Alina's gaze never wavered. "Keep pressure steady. Finish the fight. Every strike counts. Every moment is victory." Boarding teams reached the Vorath flagship, a massive, pulsating vessel at the center of the swarm. Human soldiers infiltrated its interior, moving with silent precision. Explosives were planted, control systems hacked, and core nodes destroyed. The flagship erupted in a massive cascade of fire and energy, sending shockwaves through the remaining swarm. The Vorath retreated. Broken, shattered, and confused, they fled into the depths of space. Their coordinated attacks had been undone by humans' unpredictability, ingenuity, and fearlessness. On Vera Prime, civilians cheered as the sky cleared. Human ships moved among them, offering aid, supplies, and medical attention. Unlike other species, humans fought to save lives even as they destroyed the enemy. Alien observers could hardly believe what they had seen. "They have won," a Trelvar admiral said, voice shaking. "And yet, they have done it without unnecessary slaughter. They are unlike anything I have ever known." Curran nodded. "Humans are more than warriors. They are architects of victory. They adapt, they endure, and they strike with precision no one else can match." Captain Drake addressed her officers on the vanguard. "Today, we have not only defended a world, we have shown the galaxy what humanity can do. The Vorath will think twice before striking any planet in our path. And every species now knows that when humans arrive, hope is not lost. Humanity does not just fight, we win." Admiral Marcus Lee appeared on the comm screen. "This victory will echo across the galaxy. Human ingenuity, courage, and resolve have saved millions. And the galaxy will remember the lesson we have taught. Never underestimate humanity." Elena nodded. "We fight not for glory, but for survival, for strategy, and for life. We have done all three. Let the galaxy see what humans are capable of, and let the Vorath remember that we are relentless." Far beyond known space, remnants of the Vorath regrouped. Their collective intelligence struggled to comprehend humans. These beings were unpredictable, fearless, and adaptive. They had destroyed units thought invincible, disrupted communication chains, and turned the swarm's own mechanics against them. A new calculation formed in the Vorath's collective mind. Humans are the ultimate variable. They cannot be controlled, predicted, or defeated easily. They are a force that changes everything. Back on Vera Prime, humans assisted the Allied fleets in rebuilding and strategizing for future battles. Alien leaders observed closely, learning from humans, tactics, and leadership. They realized something profound. Humanity was not just a species, it was a catalyst for survival, a force that could rally, inspire, and dominate when all else failed. Curran, standing on the observation deck, whispered to herself, "The galaxy is lucky they fight for us. Because if humans fought against us, nothing could survive." Captain Drake gazed at the stars from the vanguard. The Vorath had been broken for now, but threats would rise again. Humanity would always be ready. They would continue to fight, to adapt, and to strike when the galaxy needed them most. The Allied fleets, inspired by humans, followed their lead. Alien civilizations now understood a simple truth. When humans fight, even the deadliest enemies fall. When humans strike, nothing is safe. And humanity, as always, moved forward with calm determination, unwavering courage, and deadly efficiency. The galaxy had called for help. Humanity had arrived. And the deadliest fleet in known space had proven that nothing, not even the Vorath, could stand against it. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, shining brighter as humans moved through the void. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had delivered its deadly payoff.